The way your hair can predict your stress. Your hair is like a biological timeline of your life. As hair grows, it absorbs chemicals and hormones from your bloodstream. Scientists can take a single strand of hair and measure the levels of cortisol, which is the body's primary stress hormone. Because hair grows at a steady rate of about 1 centimeter per month, researchers can look at different sections of the hair to see exactly how stressed a person was 3, 6, or even 12 months ago. It is essentially a physical record of your emotional history. The amount of gold inside the Earth. The Earth's core contains a staggering amount of gold. Scientists believe that when the Earth was still molten and forming, most of the planet's heavy metals, including gold and platinum, sank deep into the center. There is enough gold in the core to cover the entire surface of the Earth in a layer that is 1.5 feet thick. The reason gold is so rare on the surface is that the only gold we can reach today was delivered by asteroid impacts that hit the Earth long after the core had already formed and cooled. The fact that clouds are made of dust. Every single raindrop and every single snowflake needs a tiny piece of trash to get started. In the sky, water vapor cannot just turn into a liquid on its own. It needs a solid surface to cling to. This could be a tiny grain of sand, a speck of smoke, or even a microscopic piece of sea salt. These tiny particles are called cloud seeds. The water vapor wraps around the dust and grows larger and larger until it becomes a cloud. Without these tiny bits of dust floating in the air, it would never rain, and the Earth would be a dry, lifeless desert. The American woodcock is a small bird with a truly unique perspective on the world. Its eyes are set so far back on the sides of its head that it actually has a 360-degree field of vision. This means it can see what is happening directly behind its head just as clearly as what is in front. Even more impressive is that its field of vision overlaps in both the front and the back, giving it binocular vision in 2 directions at once. This allows the bird to keep a constant watch for predators, even while its beak is buried deep in the mud searching for worms. Research has suggested that dogs may be able to sense the Earth's magnetic field. Scientists observed thousands of dogs and found that when they're relaxed and off a leash, they prefer to align their bodies along a north-south axis while they're relieving themselves. They seem to avoid facing east or west entirely. This behavior suggests that dogs have a built-in internal compass, similar to birds and sea turtles, that helps them stay oriented with the planet's magnetic poles. The world's largest mammal migration. When people think of migration, they often think of whales or birds, but the largest mammal migration on Earth involves the straw-colored fruit bat. Every year, about 10 million of these bats fly from across Africa to a single swamp forest in Zambia. They arrive in such massive numbers that the trees actually bend and break under their weight. This migration is vital for the environment because the bats eat huge amounts of fruit and spread seeds across thousands of miles as they travel, helping to regrow forests across the continent. The incredible pumping power of the giraffe's neck. A giraffe's neck is about 6 feet long, and getting blood from the heart all the way up to the brain requires immense pressure. To handle this, giraffes have developed a specialized series of one-way valves in their neck veins. These valves prevent gravity from pulling all the blood back down to the heart when the giraffe is standing. More importantly, when the giraffe leans down to drink, these valves prevent the blood from rushing into the head too quickly, which would cause a massive and dangerous increase in brain pressure. The way a tree sweats. Trees go through a process called transpiration, which is very similar to how humans sweat. On a hot day, a single large tree can lift hundreds of gallons of water from the soil and release it into the air through its leaves as vapor. This process does more than just move water. It actually cools the air around the tree. A forest of trees can lower the local temperature by several degrees, acting like a giant, natural air conditioning system for the planet, while also helping to create the clouds that eventually bring rain. The way a bird's egg breathes. An eggshell might look like a solid airtight container, but it is actually covered in thousands of microscopic holes called pores. A chicken egg, for example, has about 7,000 tiny pores. These holes allow oxygen to enter the egg and carbon dioxide to leave, which is how the developing chick is able to breathe. At the same time, the pores are small enough to prevent water from leaking out too quickly and to keep harmful bacteria from getting inside. It is a perfectly designed, breathable life support system. The only fish that can climb trees. The climbing perch is a remarkable fish found in Asia and Africa that can survive out of water for several days. It has a specialized organ above its gills that allows it to breathe oxygen directly from the air. When its pond dries up, the fish uses its sharp fins and tail to walk across the land to find a new home. They have even been known to climb up the low branches of trees and bushes near the water's edge to catch insects or escape predators, making them one of the few fish that can travel vertically on land. The incredible speed of the human eye muscles. The muscles that control your eyes are the most active and fastest moving muscles in your entire body. Every day, your eyes make about 100,000 tiny, jerky movements called saccades. These movements happen so quickly that they are basically invisible. If you wanted to give your leg muscles the same amount of exercise that your eye muscles get, you would have to walk about 50 miles every single day. Your eye muscles never get tired because they're constantly being supplied with a high amount of oxygen and energy. The way a cactus stores sunlight. Cactuses live in harsh deserts where they cannot afford to lose water. Most plants open their pores during the day to breathe, but this would cause a cactus to dry out in the heat. Instead, cactuses use a process called CM photosynthesis. They only open their pores at night when the air is cool to take in carbon dioxide. They then store that gas in the form of an acid. When the sun comes up the next day, the cactus closes its pores tightly and uses the stored acid and the daylight to make food, allowing it to grow without losing a single drop of water. The way an ant colony functions as a single brain. A single ant is not very smart, but a whole colony of ants can solve incredibly complex problems. This is called swarm intelligence. When searching for food, ants leave behind chemical trails. As more ants follow a successful trail, the scent gets stronger, which tells the rest of the colony where to go. This system allows the colony to find the shortest path to food, build complex tunnels, and even decide when to move the entire nest. The colony acts like a single, giant brain where each individual ant is like a single neuron. The secret of the toucan's massive bill. A toucan's bill looks heavy and awkward, but it is actually very light. The inside is filled with a bony, sponge-like material that makes it mostly air. Scientists have discovered that the bill's main purpose is not just for eating fruit. It acts like a giant radiator. The bill is full of blood vessels, and by changing the amount of blood that flows through it, the toucan can release a massive amount of body heat. This allows the bird to stay cool in the hot, humid rainforest without needing to sweat or pant. The fact that you have a new heart every 10 years. While your heart is always beating, the cells that make it up are slowly being replaced. Researchers have found that the human heart has a slow rate of regeneration. About 1% of the muscle cells in your heart are replaced every year. By the time you're an adult, about half of your heart is made of cells that were not there when you were born. Over a long period of time, your body essentially builds you a refreshed heart, even though the overall structure of the organ stays exactly the same. The incredible speed of a jumping flea. While a flea is tiny, it is one of the greatest athletes in the animal kingdom. When a flea jumps, it accelerates 20 times faster than a space shuttle during liftoff. This is possible because the flea does not just use its muscles. It has a pad of a special elastic protein called resilin in its legs. The flea loads this protein like a spring and then releases it all at once. This allows the flea to jump over 100 times its own body height in a fraction of a millisecond. If a human had this same ability, they would be able to jump over a 60-story building in a single bound. The way dolphins use names. Dolphins are among the most social and intelligent animals in the sea, and scientists have discovered that they actually have names for each other. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle during its first year of life. This whistle is different from any other dolphin in the pod. When a dolphin wants to get the attention of a specific friend or family member, it will mimic that individual's signature whistle. This is the only known instance in the animal kingdom, other than humans, where a creature uses a specific sound to refer to another individual. The way African buffaloes vote. When an African buffalo herd needs to decide which way to travel, they don't just follow a single leader. Instead, they use a form of democratic voting. One by one, the adult females in the herd will stand up, look in a specific direction for a few seconds, and then sit back down. Whichever direction receives the most looks is the direction the entire herd will move when they begin their journey. This collective decision-making helps the herd stay together and ensures they find the best grazing land and water sources. The incredible distance Hawaii moves each year. The Earth's crust is not a solid shell. It is made of giant tectonic plates that are constantly drifting. The Pacific Plate, which holds the islands of Hawaii, is slowly moving toward the North American Plate. Because of this movement, the islands of Hawaii are getting about 7.5 centimeters closer to Alaska every single year. This movement is roughly the same speed at which your fingernails grow. Over millions of years, this slow drift will completely change the map of the world, bringing tropical islands into much colder northern waters. The amount of space dust you collect. Every single day, about 100 tons of cosmic dust from asteroids and comets fall through the Earth's atmosphere and lands on the surface. These particles are so small that they are mostly invisible, but they are everywhere. Scientists estimate that every time you go for a walk outside, tiny pieces of space rock land in your hair and on your clothes. You have likely touched a piece of a comet or an asteroid many times in your life without ever knowing it, as you wash this ancient stardust away every time you take a shower. The only planet that spins clockwise. In our solar system, almost every planet spins in the same direction, which is counterclockwise. However, Venus is a strange exception. It spins clockwise, which means that if you were standing on the surface of Venus, the sun would rise in the west and set in the east. Astronomers believe that billions of years ago, a massive asteroid may have crashed into Venus with such force that it completely flipped the planet's rotation. Venus also spins so slowly that a single day on the planet lasts longer than its entire year. The way your nose can detect a trillion scents. For a long time, scientists believed that humans could only detect about 10,000 different smells. However, a recent study has shown that our noses are much more powerful than we thought. Your nose contains millions of olfactory receptors that work together to identify complex scents. Researchers now estimate that the average human nose can distinguish between more than 1 trillion different smells. This sense is closely linked to your memory, which is why a certain smell can suddenly make you remember a specific event from your childhood. The way a jellyfish is mostly water. A jellyfish is one of the most unusual creatures in the ocean because it has no brain, no heart, no bones, and no blood. Their bodies are made of about 95% water and a thin layer of jelly-like material called mesoglea. Because they are so similar to the water around them, they're almost perfectly camouflaged and difficult for predators to see. If you were to take a jellyfish out of the ocean and leave it on the beach in the sun, it would almost completely evaporate and disappear within a few hours, leaving only a tiny dry film behind. The way bees use logic. Honeybees are capable of much more than just gathering nectar. They can understand the concept of zero. In experiments, bees were shown groups of symbols and trained to choose the one with the smallest number of shapes. When shown a blank piece of paper with no shapes at all, the bees correctly identified the zero as being less than 1 or 2. This type of abstract mathematical thinking was previously thought to be something that only humans and some primates could understand, proving that even tiny brains can be very powerful.